사랑하세요. 비정국 씨.
Hey, it's been a while since the last time I did a voiceover. Ever since I started my channel, a lot of people kept bringing up an argument called overanalyzation. I have briefly explained my point of view about it here and there, but people still have a hard time understanding it. So I thought it would be really fun if I make a video about it and say why I think the whole argument is actually baseless. If you're watching just to disagree from the start, then maybe it's better to just close the tab. But if you want to watch the rest of the video, please watch it until the end before saying anything about the arguments. The literal meaning of overanalyzing is analyzing more than normal. It's quite self-explanatory. It's basically the same as overthinking. But is there anything that sets a measure for it? I mean, how can someone actually say how much thinking is appropriate or enough and how much is too much? Especially when it comes to people like BTS. Let's not even talk about Taekook from the beginning. Let's talk about BTS as a whole first. BTS is a kind of band that sends a lot of subtle hints about everything they do. And when I say subtle, I mean sometimes the hints are very hard to even consider a hint. I'm going to give you a few examples of it. For example, in Summer Package 2018, BTS were playing a confession game. They had to say good things about one of the other members and call them Chingu. Chingu basically means a close friend who is around the same age as you. And everyone were saying it, everyone were calling each other that way. And after each confession, they would say, it's just a simple word that means yoo-hoo or something like that. So it could easily be a normal phrase they were just saying. But in reality, it was a comeback hint for Idol, which came out a few months later. You see how subtle that is? During the same game, Taeyong had to tell Jungkook the things he thought were great about him. But when he called Jungkook a chingu to start everything, which was basically what everyone else were calling each other, Jungkook said,
소개합니다. Yeah. 친구야? 야 해봐. 잘해봐.
Chingua? It means like friend, but in a kind of rude way. And he was like, call me right, call me in the right way. Jungkook isn't the same age as Yoongi, but he even called Yoongi that way later on, so it wasn't just because he was younger. Even himself used to call Tae his Chingu. Tae looked a bit flustered when he heard it, and then he was like, yeah, let's continue, my Chingu Jungkook. Us Taekookers were a little bit confused over why it was appropriate for everyone else to call each other that way, but Jungkook told Tae not to call him that way. They were doing good, and we all know that they are very close with each other, so we wondered what if he said friend isn't appropriate because they are more than friends. Keep in mind that it happened on 2018, a very tricky year that Taekook were very open compared to other years. It's actually a normal thing to think about. I mean, imagine if it was your friend. If you knew that friend was really close to another friend, and when they were like, hey, this is my friend, and the other friend was like, don't call me a friend, am I your friend? Wouldn't you really wonder if something is really going on between them or not? And my real question is, how is thinking this, overanalyzing, when we know that in the same scene they were using a very subtle word to do a comeback hint? Before Idol came out, both were actually possibilities for us. But if someone would say that that word was actually a comeback hint, wouldn't you think that it's just overthinking a word? But people were actually mostly against the taekook theory that I just mentioned. Does everything that might imply a possibility of two people from the same gender who are very close in a band to be together automatically means overanalyzing and unacceptable, while theories that aren't like that are automatically acceptable? Because that sounds a little bit homophobic to me. I mean, don't take me wrong. If you disagree with a theory, that's natural, that's normal. But if you're against every single theory and call them overanalyzing just because they're a ship-related theory and make people feel ashamed for even consider it and treat the whole thing like a dirty word just over implying a possibility, that's a different story. Let's mention another example. Some of you might be familiar with BTS Glitch Party. It happened last year and it even trended on places like Twitter, etc. If you're wondering what it was about, basically ARMY noticed that in some BTS music videos or some of their dance practice videos, there were new glitches that weren't there before. So they assumed that Big Hit added them. Although some people said that they had some of the music videos downloaded before and the glitches were there from before. Personally, as a YouTuber, I have no idea how they could even do that. I mean, it's very easy to blur things after posting the video, but there aren't really any options for putting glitches or putting effects on them. But ARMY were very convinced that it was a comeback hint and it was hyping everyone. A simple glitch. Big Hit obviously saw it and they even changed their logo to a glitchy BTS logo. After a while, ARMY assumed that they were right all along, and even if they weren't, they didn't really care. It didn't matter for them. Even though we still have no idea what the hint even was, even after a whole year. So people do understand what theories mean. They know that theories can be right and they can also be wrong. Then why is it that every time analysts or people like me mention a theory, they expect it to be completely true or confirmed, or they're just so quick to cancel the idea just because it's ship related? I've had a lot of theories that actually got more proofs after I've mentioned them. So did some other taekookers. Let's get 123 theory, for example. Jungkook once told us that he always pays attention to the lyrics of the songs that he covers and asked us to pay attention to them too. And he has a habit of posting a lot of things at times that follow the 123 numbers. He even mentioned the number on a song once on Twitter. This theory was in the fandom for a very long time. If you pay attention to most of his covers and go on 1 and 23 seconds of each video, we realize that it's telling a specific story about loving someone but not being able to show it in front of the camera or being with them freely. When I looked it up, I also noticed that he actually changed the timing of some of them. For example, Paper Heart. Jungkook's cover was 3 seconds longer than the original. So if you actually check the original, you don't really get this lyric. But if you check Jungkook's cover of Paper Heart on exactly 1 and 23 seconds, you get, when there is cameras, I just can't reach out to tell you. When there's cameras and I just can't reach out to tell you. Also, I noticed that on DNA, a song that is very famous between taekookers because of the big taekook moment in it, their part actually comes around 1:23 seconds, and if you pause in that, you can see the lyrics saying that none of these are actually a coincidence. We're totally different, baby, because we're the ones who found destiny. Not only this, but 123 actually seems like Taeyoung's birthday, which is 12/30. It seems overanalyzed and more like a reach to many people. But someone actually asked Jungkook about it. They asked him why he always hints on those numbers, and there were a few options for his answers. Jungkook put an X in front of the option that says it has no meaning. He didn't really touch or deny the option that said it was Taeyoung's birthday, and he ticked next to the option that said something else. But to explain what he meant by something else, he said, because only I know the answer. Earlier this year, I predicted that something might happen on 23rd of January because of this number, especially because it's 2019. And no one really paid attention to it, but something actually happened. Jungkook posted a cover of Final Scene on that date. And the reason that it's important in this year is because if you pay attention to the date that it was released, at right you can see 1, 2, 3, which can represent Taeyoung's birthday and birth month. And in the middle you can see 901, which is basically 1st of September, which is Jungkook's birthday. And the time that he was posting it was 9:50 p.m., which is basically 95. That is Taeyoung's birth year. So all of them together is basically Tae's complete birth date, with Jungkook's birthday and month in the middle. So if we can go all hyped over a simple glitch, that can be just a YouTube bug, and we still don't even know if it was hinting at anything or not, and don't consider it overanalyzing or wrong at all, then why is 1, 2, 3 theory called overanalyzing when Jungkook himself said it's not meaningless? And more related things about it keep coming up. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed the glitch party. I'm just saying that if something like that is not overanalyzing and if it's okay, then the same should be said about other analyses that are actually really normal. Why is it so strange to think that some of the songs that they sing can be related to each other? Because hypothetically, if they have a thing going on, it's more than possible for them to sing or write things about each other. It's not overlooking their talent. We love their talent and we hype it as much as we can. But we also like to consider the possibilities of meanings behind the things they sing having relations to each other. I mean, even if there isn't anything serious going on between them, if they're just friends, is it really that strange for them to write things about each other? Let me bring up another BTS example. We've seen BTS wearing a lot of clothes or using a lot of tattoos that look like hints, and they actually hinted their next comebacks or collabs or other things. So they're clearly really into sending different kinds of hints through those kind of things. So why is it that people call those hints? But when it comes to wearing things like pride or rainbow clothes that are clearly for being part of the community or supporting the community, people call that overanalyzing. The same can be said about their temporary tattoos. In the third Bon Voyage, Jungkook did a tattoo by putting the I love you sign on it and wrote peace under it. And as you know, peace sign is actually V. Let's not also forget that Tae, whose stage name is V, has been using green a lot lately. And Jungkook himself said that green is the color of peace. He was even very excited to show it to Tae when Tae came to them. So, is it really that strange for us to think that the tattoo was for Taeyoung when everything actually points out to it? It reminds me of the time when taekookers noticed how Tae and Jungkook use I promise that I love you in their handshake, and insisted that they saw them using the sign for each other secretly. But non-shipper kept saying that it doesn't mean anything, that we're just pulling things out of our private parts. But when Boy With Love came out, everyone suddenly accepted that it meant I love you. But they called it a comeback hint, even though the way Taeyoung and Jungkook kept using it was very secretive that we were actually very lucky to catch it. It happens all the time. For example, I brought up a theory that said they are using moon as a signature or metaphor for Jungkook because they literally call them one. I say that it means that he wants to help people by shining light on some problems, which is literally what Jungkook himself described, and people call it overanalyzing. I said that Moonchild, a song that Namjoon wrote in 2016, the same year that Moonchild movie, which had a gaming character, came out, can be LGBTQ plus related, and you can actually see it through the lyrics. It's really gay coded. But people call that overlooking Namjoon's talent. Just read the lyric. He says Moonchild are born from moonlight. But they can't breathe in sunlight because they have to hide their heart and feelings. They are born to be sad and suffer to be glad. You really want to tell me that you don't see any relation between this and how LGBTQ plus people are being treated daily? So you're saying that thinking about the meaning behind a song is actually overlooking the writer's talent just because it can be LGBTQ plus related? I really don't get this mentality. In the song, it was even mentioned that the moon children can one day shine and show themselves, but that time comes when the moon rises. They called Jungkook Moon. Jungkook said that he wanted to shine for us after getting our letters. He kept posting things relating himself to the moon. He even keeps mentioning that he wants to take off a mask, and he's wondering and a little bit afraid of reactions if people see it. Taeyong told ARMY to look at the moon together, while there wasn't even any moon on the sky. And we saw a commercial of Taekook watching the moon after I brought up the theory. I don't get how it's overanalyzing when I'm literally just putting everything that happened together to make a theory. It's more than possible for Moon to be a hint for Jungkook trying to show himself as the moon for people who are similar to them. I'm sure if it was related to the comeback or had nothing to do with the community, people would easily see the possibility. I can give you so many examples of the time people called normal things overanalyzing when they weren't. For example, on 2016, around October or November, a fan asked Jungkook if he had to give a song to Taeyong, what would he give him? And Jungkook literally answered, "Let's break up." First of all, if there was no relationship between them, what would they had to break up? Also, if you listen to the song, it's about wanting to be with someone, but having to break up because things are just too hard for both of you. And to keep it, you have to keep lying and lying and lying about it. So you want to take the pain yourself and add everything to make the other person happy. I mean, this is literally their lyrics. Someone said we got along well, that it was good that we've met, that we would last forever. Yes, that was then. Lie, lie, lie. Let's break up now, even if it makes us sad. Let's smile at the memories. It used to be all happy times. I'll leave all the laughter with you. I'll take the tears. You can smile when you leave. So yeah, Jungkook literally says that, but if any of us actually think that they have a relationship or had a relationship or there was a small break between it, we're just overanalyzing. What these people seem to think is that we just have to ignore everything Taeyong and Jungkook say and just think about whatever we want, because if it's anything related to ships, it's overanalyzing. And if you think that someone can just break up with someone else that they're working with for years and hide every sign of it, you're mistaken, because even if there was a break, the signs of them coming back together came back as well. We can say something really natural like Jungkook likes purple, and it started since Taeyong gave a very lovely and interesting meaning to it. And people will be like, hey, stop overthinking, even though it's literally what happened. Another example was this year when they were wearing matching red and blue threads, which is something people do when they get married in Korea. And Tae even kept showing it off to Jungkook and ARMY, and made it obvious that it's not just something random he chose to wear. But people just love to ignore this sort of things. Or when Jungkook said that, you know who my life partner is, and pointed at Tae. And Tae couldn't stop smiling, but apparently people call that overanalyzing too. Another example was in 2017 when Tae told Jungkook to end his live stream. for a private conversation, which was actually a slang for making out. And Jungkook quickly ended it. And Jimin even kept making kissy faces to the camera for them. And even K-Army trended it on Twitter because it was actually that suggestive. But people again made it seem like nothing. Even earlier this year when Jimin and Jin asked Tae and Jungkook if they were together before the live, and Jungkook clearly said date. And the awkward tension after it showed that they were actually very surprised that Jungkook mentioned it.
아, 둘이 같이 운동했어? Today. 이제 그러면 셋이 이제.
But people pretend like they didn't even hear it. During the same live, we were wondering if Taehyung and Jungkook were sharing a room, and everyone were like, hey, stop overthinking, but come on, Taehyung himself asked Jungkook, weren't we sharing a room? Their rooms had to be already booked. It was late at night. They obviously weren't going to book another room at that moment. If you think we're overanalyzing or manipulating just by mentioning what the boys said, then what do you call ignoring the same things they said just because you don't want to hear it? Even if you say some comeback-related things are different with theories over real, private lives, how can you use this argument when it's literally what they kept showing us? When they are the ones who show us which hotels they're staying at, when they know we can understand a lot just by checking the hotel website. When they are the ones who mention that they're sharing a room, when Jungkook himself is the one who brings up date when Jin and Jimin ask them about where they were, when they never showed any negative reactions after seeing shippers, and they actually looked happy or told each other every time they saw one. Taekook is private, that's why they don't give that many fan service stuff on stage. But they still show us enough things for us to understand them. They send enough hints, and they love us the same way that we love them. I can bring up so many more examples of how easily people agree with things if it's not LGBTQ plus related or ship related, no matter how subtle it is. But as soon as it is about them, they call it overanalyzing and make people feel sorry or guilty for even considering it and cancel the whole thing altogether. To sum it up, this is why I think the whole discussion is baseless, because it only seems to matter when people want to heterolize everything. I've mentioned this over and over. This channel is here to love and appreciate the bond between Taehyung and Jungkook, no matter what it is. It can be friendship, brotherhood, romantic. It also means that this channel loves and supports all members the same way. Jungkook, Taehyung, Jimin, Hoseok, Yoongi, Jin, and Namjoon are all kind and talented boys that need our love and support. I've been trying to make people understand that no matter what it is, it's still the same beautiful bond that we love and appreciate. But I also want to point out these theories because we never know if these theories are actually true. The boys are going to need all the support they can have one day. There's nothing wrong with considering possibilities based on the things the boys are releasing or giving or saying themselves. No matter what their sexuality is, no matter who they love or end up with, or don't end up with, or no matter how many tattoos they have or don't have, with long hair, short hair, we're here to support them, and we need each other if we actually want to give them this support. So please keep that in mind and be kinder with each other. BTS taught us to love ourselves despite everything. Let's do the same for them and also for each other.
정국아 사랑한다. 오래오래 사랑하세요. 비정국 씨.